welcome to Generic Sports Podcast. I'm your host, the Goose, Josh. And with me, as always, is the incredible BossaNova Jones.
Bossa Nova.
And today we're going to talk about Week 7 and the whole epicenter of the NFL.
Why is it week 7? Why does it go by so quickly?
Because it just does. We're in hockey season. We're starting basketball. Well, the men's basketball. We just finished the WNBA season. We can do a whole chat about all that. We got the World Series. This is like peak sports time. So of course we're at week 7. I don't know. This was a long week because my Broncos started playing on Thursday. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they dismantled. Well, they already the Saints were already dismantled and stuff, but they dismantled the Saints even more with a 33-10 win with the defense looking great. Cody Barton played fantastic. Did he end up AFC Defensive Player of the Week?
I don't know.
Go check that while I go talk about the game really quick. No PS2, but no problem because they were out. The Saints were without Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, which the latter had he tore his meniscus.
Something like that.
He had meniscus surgery, and he didn't do I don't think he did the repair or what, the short term one. He removing it, he had it repaired, so it's gonna be, his season is over, unfortunately. Because he's great in the special teams and on offense. But the game itself, man, I don't know where the Saints defense went because the Broncos had a run game with 225 yards. Bo Nix had 75. Javonte Williams had 88. And that was just all in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a fun game if you were a Broncos fan. It was a very disappointing game if you were a Saints fan because it was Drew Brees' night.
Mm-hmm. I didn't find anything. I don't know if they've announced the players of the week just yet. I did find Pro Football Focus does a Team of the Week award, and he made it onto that.
Okay, that's good because he played great.
Mm-hmm.
He should have had 2 touchdowns on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Playing defense, but he had a fumble, whatever. I don't know what the fumble, interception, whatever thing that was, because it never hit the ground, but it wasn't a pass. I guess it was a fumble. I don't know. He had a turnover, ran it in for a touchdown. He was just all over the field, taking over for the Alex Singleton defense, and some life from from Bo Nix to Troy Franklin and. I think Vele had a pass. I think Vele was getting involved. Marvin Mims, everybody, Lucas Krull, everybody but Cortland Sutton. So it was just nice to see, some of the younger talent, just getting some catches and playing, stepping up. Especially, and I hope they step up and everybody does great against the Panthers this coming week. But that's, it was a good week to be a Broncos fan, unless, except for the fact that the Chiefs won, and that's a whole nother story we'll get into later. But the Broncos right now, second in the division, and happy about that. So that was Thursday night. Like I said, we're not gonna go over a lot of the games. Obviously, we're gonna talk about stuff with the Broncos and the Dolphins because they're our teams. So
And how your second in the division looks a lot better than my second in the division.
Oh yeah, you are second in the division, aren't you?
Yes.
Wild time. Because, your second in the division was every team but the Bills lost. You lost. You had the bye, which means you're 2-4, which makes you better than 2-5 and 1-6. That's why you're second in the division currently.
Yep.
So while we're at it, you want to talk about your game?
Yes. Well, we looked good in the beginning. Actually scored a touchdown and actually had the lead for a bit.
A long majority of that game, I thought. Then I thought you were up at halftime, like I thought 10-3.
Let's check. Not at halftime.
Oh, okay.
Right. End quarter. Yeah, no, halftime. Yeah, halftime was 10-3, and then it was 10 and then we just didn't score again. I mean, granted, Tyler Huntley got hurt, and we had two key fumbles from two of our Raheem Mostert and Alec Ingold, and that really both really hurt us and killed our momentum. Like, they didn't play that great, but we just
right.
Just Tyler Huntley's injury didn't help. That we didn't get Tyreek and Jalen Waddle the ball like it was all Jonnu Smith. Who was on that Pro Football Focus team of the week was the tight end.
I was gonna say I don't know if you can check if that was a career day, but 7 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if he had 7 receptions at least in a game for his career. So it felt like a career game with some of the just where he was catching. But there I know we don't want to spend a lot of time on these games, and I don't know how much you want to say about the Dolphins, but we definitely need to have a Anthony Richardson conversation today.
Yes, his most amount of yards were actually in this game. Yeah, Jonnu Smith.
And receptions?
I don't know about receptions. I just got yards.
Gotcha.
But you can have a ton of receptions and not have a ton of yards.
True. But 7 from the tight end position, sometimes that is a career day. So
right, I'd have to look deeper. It's just like I'm just glad it looks like Tua's coming back, and hopefully the game plan and will go right. I feel like we haven't gotten past the whatever we're dealing with. Like, I think Mike McDaniel might need to give up calling plays if we still can't win, even with Tua. Like, our game planning should not look this bad.
Right. Well, let's I do want to have an Anthony Richardson conversation. I do want to have a bit of a Tua conversation. So which one would you like to? I feel like the Anthony Richardson one might be a little shorter. So
let's go into Anthony Richardson a little bit here.
Okay. It's mind blowing that they are 4-3. I mean, I know, and that and we're going to talk about quarterback wins as a stat because he's gotten a few wins, but he has not looked good. He went 10 for 24, 129. He ran it for 56 yards, but no touchdowns. You lost to a team. You lost to a team that threw it 10 times, and I mean,
completed 10 times,
or completed 10 passes, which I mean that's still not great. That's as long as he's winning, I guess he's the starter. But Joe Flacco, again, this is like a quarterback stats or quarterback wins thing, and we're talking about a little bit more with Patrick Mahomes. I guess as long as you're winning,
right?
You're in it.
I was gonna say the whole 10 that he only completed 10 passes. There's a difference between completing 10 out of 24 passes and completing 10 out of 10 passes.
Well, yeah.
If he only threw 10 passes and was perfect, then I'd give him a little more credit. But yeah, this is really it's just those runs and those fumbles cost us. There's nothing more to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know Jason Sanders had a difficult kick at 55, 54 or something like that, but
if we made that kick, sure, we'd have 13 points and that might have changed things, but at minimum those 2 fumbles cost us
6 points.
Yeah, at minimum 6 points.
And it was a swing too, because I think they scored on one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have been up 6-10 instead of being down, or you could have been up 6 points and been up 16-10 instead of being down 16-10 or even 13-10, because I believe that so you could have won 16-13 with one of those extra possessions as a score, or both of them. So it's aggravating. And honestly, it's I guess as long as they keep winning, but it's like right now in my mind, Anthony Richardson reminds me, and I know Bo Nix is the rookie, but I feel like they're about the same, and they've only and honestly with the amount of time that Bo's played 7 games. Anthony Richardson only played a few more games than him in the NFL at this point. So, like, for all intents and purposes, I feel like Anthony Richardson is really just on is still a rookie in some ways and is still learning. So I'm not giving him too much of a hard time, but there are questions about I guess if you think about it that way, it's like, yeah, he needs to get that development. So it makes sense that
he
Joe
needs
Flacco
more experience.
isn't, becoming,
he
the
just
starter.
Yeah, he needs more experience as he goes forward. I mean, they're in a good place right now, but we'll see how they do against Houston, I think, this week.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game because of how their first one went. So
yeah, it's like I mean, it's good they're getting by without Jonathan Taylor, but I feel like they're definitely missing him.
Oh, they are.
Would have lost a whole lot more. They wouldn't have needed to get lucky and get those fumbles.
I think they caused one of those fumbles, punched it out or something.
We also got a fumble from them and didn't do anything, so that also doesn't help.
That doesn't help either.
I feel like Tim Boyle comes in and plays a little better. I don't know. I think he's improved with the offseason with the Texans, and I just feel like I don't know if he should have just been getting a start over I know Tyler Huntley's had some struggles.
I think he should have gotten some of those starts in during the Tua on IR. So now, speaking of Tua, I'm all for Tua returning to the game. I'm happy he's able to, but some of the comments that he said, I don't necessarily. I didn't really like some of them. So I know every player takes risk and stuff, but you're dealing with your head, and I'll be honest, I have had I haven't mentioned it, but on here, but with somebody who I've dealt with stuff with my head and just not feeling like myself the last 2 years, there's I didn't like how I felt, and I've been, I wish I would have done some things differently, and I'm finally getting better. But I wouldn't want, I don't want to see something long term bad happen with Tua with anything, with your brain or anything that could happen. So it's I hope, I think he has some short term perspective, not long term perspective, and I get it. It's something that you've played your whole life trying to get to, and it's your career, and I get it, but your career is short compared to your life.
That's very true, but it's really what it comes down to is it's his choice, and if he.
I'm not disagreeing anything on his choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disagreeing with some of the words he said, and comparing broken bones to concussions, and some of the stuff with how disease and CTE
I mean, they are. Yes, they are different. There are similarities and there are differences because it's like players. It's like Christian McCaffrey right now. Is his knees going to be the same after injury?
Right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you either.
Christian McCaffrey might not play anymore for similar reasons, but if it's his choice to want to come back, same thing.
Well, yes and no. But
I mean, that's just one of the similarities. There are similarities to it. It's not exactly the same, but there are similarities.
Well, I mean, the similarities are the long-term health.
Yes.
Because, as somebody, you've got knee issues. I've got my knee hurts and my bad back. We know how our mom is after having knee surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And we have plenty of friends who have, chronic pain because, I think that's just, that's a problem with, some of the stuff we do in society, but that's a whole nother story that we won't have on this
Yes, we're.
But yeah, that it's chronic pain isn't good either.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's the thing. That's why I say yes. I totally understand. It's his choice. It's just as somebody who has certain pain and stuff in their body, like when it affects your head, it really makes you feel different than certain than other parts of your body.
I completely agree. As I've had mental health issues since I was a kid. And just and head injuries since I was a kid as well. I completely agree. I think just the difference is about Tua's comments are that the difference is that the entire media won't shut up about your health and what you should do. And I don't know if he hears any of that, but I feel like some of it might get to his family, that might get to him, and that if you have to keep hearing about that, you might get annoyed. And it just sounded like he just sounded like he was frustrated about all this talks about him, and that it's really his choice and really his decision.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, are they all blindly supporting him, or are they actually, when they say something, are they saying not what the media says, but are they saying the same thing as the media without listening to the media? Are they taking their concerns to of themselves?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know how Tua's support system is. I don't know how other people are. I get sick and tired of the dumbass fans sharing the picture of him with his fingers twitching and just think it's a joke.
Well, I mean, those people, we all know that there are bad fans from any group, and that includes not just your own fans, but just NFL fans. I mean, I'm sure there were ones that were made light of the Damar Hamlin situation. That happened.
Yes, they show pictures of him dead on the ground too on the internet, and I just feel like some of these pictures should just be deleted and just banned. No,
you can't delete sometimes you have to make a statement and be like, well, this is what happened, and here's a medical.
I guess they should have said what was it? They can put force the content warning label over them. I mean, sure, they can make just people or not that Twitter is going to do anything about putting up any kind of content warning about a joke, or not content warning, but strike them for making a insensitive joke.
Okay, well, we're getting too off topic because there's neither here nor there about a lot of this stuff. The true topic is.
It's really, it's Tua. Really, we don't know how much the noise of Tua gets to him. It just feels like he's been sick and he didn't want to be on IR, but he understood, and the team was looking out for him, and he appreciated that, and he appreciates that. It's just, I'm sure this is just all tiresome for him, as it is for the fans and supporters and family of him.
Yeah, but when it is tiresome in some ways when you want to go and do what you want to do, but it's like sometimes your health prevents you from doing certain things, and nobody wants to see him die or not be able to function as a human being anymore on the because of something on the field.
Completely agree, and I mean, there's the same can be said for Damar Hamlin. In the same sense, no one wants to see that again, and he was struck by a cardiac event that could randomly happen at any time.
I mean, that one was from a really hard hit. That's the difference. That's the difference. Tua was barely touched on the last one. He ran into Damar Hamlin.
I mean, there is something to say about speed and collision.
Yes. But
I didn't know how fast Tua was going, but depending on how fast you can go, it depends on how much force there was. I don't know if Next Gen Stats has that exactly, but
it's also that he had this is his fourth in 3 years?
No, fourth and fifth years, 5 years.
Okay, well, it's still
3 He didn't have one last year.
Last year. So I don't know how many years it's 1 year, but 2 years ago, is that 2 years within a 2 year frame from 2022 to 2024, he's had 3.
I mean, it would be worse if he had one last year, I could see that. But he has shown he is able to go an entire year without getting a concussion. There is nothing. There is the exact opposite of the argument is that he could easily not have a concussion again this year and not have another concussion for the rest of his life.
I mean, that's going to be the big question if he has another one this year. He's done for the rest of the year. He's definitely done if he has one if he plays against the Cardinals. Like they're not going to let him play again this season, and maybe ever again. I don't know. I don't know. Like Miami's just going to take.
Well, I mean to be fair, I don't think the doctor. I don't think the doctors can restrict him out of an entire season. It would. I mean, it might be the rest of the season because there's not many more games left. But I know that they said they would probably say that it would take more and more time. Just it's kind of like how Teddy Bridgewater was taken out when he was taken out 2 years ago when he played because he had a concussion history. But I feel that if he does, like it's up to chance. Like it is fair that yes, each week every NFL player is risking their health.
They are,
because how many injuries happen each week that we didn't expect?
Oh yeah, I get it, and it's like you brought up Christian McCaffrey. Like honestly, if San Francisco like won a Super Bowl, I would not be surprised if he retired. Like I get it, because at some point like your knees are just going to be hurting, and you don't want to work on coming back, and and like there is a mental preparedness for this for the game, and as well as physical. But there's got to be a point where you just and when I say that they're not gonna let him play anymore, it's because as far as the Dolphins go, they just have to move on because he gets concussions too much. They can't rely on him to be the long-term answer at quarterback. He played fine, but you can't rely, or because at some point it will cost it's looking Mike McDaniel looks bad, and then if nobody else wants to take a chance on him, like there will be those ramifications. It's basically just like you said, it's like any other injury. Well, you're just showing you're injury prone, and that shortens people's careers.
Right. I mean, right, and it is truly a worry for Tua. But like he's not alone in the injury history,
and that's exactly what I agree upon. So it's like you can't, it's like I know I know I'm basically saying what you said about like if any other injury. Well, if any other injury, you're technically injury prone. That's what Tua's looking like if he'd have another concussion after this.
If he has another concussion after this, Chris Greer needs to absolutely be fired for not getting the O-line.
No. He ran on the last one. He ran and scrambled, and he's the one that decided, I'll go lose like 20 pounds so I can be speedier so I can do that. I'm sorry.
I mean, it was more.
You cannot re-sign every player, and your choice basically in this offseason was your choices were, well, I let Christian Wilkins go, but Zach Sealer is fine, so we re-signed him, and your choices
I understand getting rid of the bigger name, the bigger players because they were expensive, but the players they got rid of that weren't expensive, those were mistakes.
Like who?
Andrew Van Ginkel, Brandon Jones, Deshaun Elliott.
But you know that
I
mean, I don't know what Van Ginkel probably signed a pretty good contract.
We actually could have matched that. It wasn't that expensive.
Okay, but what if he didn't want to stay in Miami?
It was that we didn't offer him money. He wanted to stay.
Oh, okay.
That was based on like comments from his wife and stuff, and him like I think he only left because we didn't pay him.
But again, I mean, I don't know how much cap space you had. I mean, you signed, but Waddle was a priority too. Tua was a priority. Mm-hmm. Like you're saying this like I know people that you had to sign.
Yeah, I'm saying all the people we signed who who that we might need to replay. Like at least the wide receivers, I'm fine with as long as we don't trade Tyreek, and and we might have to replace Tua because of this worrisome injury fear. Granted, honestly, I'm only blaming Greer about the offensive line. He's been our best general manager in years because we've sucked. We've had a bad general management history is why we were sucking in the 2000s.
I was gonna say, so I mean, you also like you didn't re-sign Robert Hunt. Maybe that was the worst one, but at the same time, like you can't sign everybody. But you know what a good general manager does? Finds pieces in the draft so that they can use. So no, you don't want to get rid of him because obviously, if you've had all of this talent that you wanted to re-sign but couldn't, means that he is doing his damn good job. He's a great general manager, and Dolphins fans need to get their heads out of their asses because right now I'm looking on my side with the Broncos. Well, look at all the talent that they said we didn't have. We were using the bare minimum, and we've drafted well. We've gotten a few free agents coming in, and everybody's Cody Barton that I mentioned, third team.
Well, I mean, you're getting more out of your players than we are getting out of ours. I mean, the defense is doing fine, but we still have some. I don't know why we keep playing some players that are negligent, that like Julian Hill, I think is the third string tight end who keeps playing and has a holding penalty on about has significant holding penalties. I wasn't going to say holding penalty on every play, but he has significant holding penalties that have cost us games.
Right. Well, I was going to say earlier with the whole
Liam Eichenberg has been problematic, and I don't know why Patrick Paul, our draft pick, hasn't been playing more for offensive line, even for as a guard.
Well, that's a coaching question, not a GM question.
There are a lot of coaching questions here.
And I was gonna say, I know you kept bringing up Greer a lot, even off recording and stuff. Sounds like, especially when you look back at Brian Flores, maybe Mike McDaniel might be the problem. And Brian Flores was
a problem, and Mike McDaniel's a different problem.
I was gonna say, were they problems? Yes, but did they, but these players seem to be able to be coached and play well. So it wasn't just, so like that's the thing. GM's doing his job and getting you the talent.
Not honestly, sometimes I just parrot what some people say online. Like I read like tweets today, and like something about Greer, like that his ego gets involved with the O-line, about the O-line, like he does. Like, but I'm like, he did draft Patrick Paul, and I know people were upset. Like people, too many, like the Dolphins fans have their head in their ass because, like they said, Chop Robinson wasn't a good draft pick. It's like he's pretty solid right now. He's not great, but come on, he just needs some time. Like,
I mean, not everybody's gonna work out. Like, I'm not gonna say like Chris Greer is a genius and hit on everything, but like, gotta give him some time to work out. Like, it's only been 7 games or 6 for Chop Robinson in your case,
right? And I mean, some teams are doing great without their number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm talking about like Minnesota. Well, Minnesota had 2, but I think Minnesota without their first pick, and Atlanta's doing better than us without and they drafted a backup quarterback. Oh, that's.
Right. Well, and sometimes it is about bringing in the right, and that's what Chris Greer was doing. Brought in Tyreek Hill, brought in, got Bradley Chubb, and
honestly, if I can be honest here, to be like really truthful, just fuck some of these Dolphins fans. These guys don't fucking. You know why we lose? We're losing because like if it's like a God and belief system, then we don't have fucking believers to empower us, because fuck you all some of these ass times, because I don't think Tua can win. Tua is injured. Trade for this. Trade for Deshaun Watson, who was injured. We should have took Justin Herbert, who can't score a fucking touchdown. Shut the fuck up! I am so tired of the Dolphins fan, except for the good. I mean, there are a lot of good people there, but the shit, I needed that. Twitter is just so fucking annoying with with these fair weather Dolphins fans. Like, God, you guys get a ton of fins down. You don't get the happy clappy fins noise. Do you really want, you guys are stuck in this fucking mediocrity for so many damn years? You just want to keep firing coaches or fire the GM, blow everything up because you don't know any better. Granted, yes, we've sucked at times, but come on. You have no faith.
This is the first year you've quote-unquote sucked. Even in the Brian Flores years, you've had winning records.
This is the first year we've
in 4 years. You've had 4 winning records, even with Flores. I think you've made playoffs, or you at least had a winning record.
Flores' first year was the losing season that got us to it, but but that was the tanking season. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Granted.
But didn't he have 2 years with Tua too?
Yes, he was with us for 3 years.
Right. So you had two of those were good winning, maybe not playoff seasons, but winning seasons.
Brian Flores did not get us to the playoffs, but they were winning seasons.
Oh, okay. So, but that's still good. But that was under Chris Greer, getting you the right players, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So winning season, no playoffs. Winning season, no playoffs. Winning season, playoffs. Winning season, playoffs. No wins. But okay, so this year, Mike McDaniel is maybe a little exposed. Maybe he needs a little bit of a reset. I mean, he signed an extension. I don't see them firing because it's just, sometimes you don't have everything in place. I'm not going to say it's a complete rebuilding year, but sometimes good teams have a bad season.
Granted, you know why we're not firing anything? Because something people seem to forget. This wasn't the worst in the last few years. This wasn't the worst record we had. You know what was the worst record we had? When we went 1-7. You know what happened? Happened the next 7 games? We won the next 7 games.
Yeah, wasn't that the second year with Brian Flores or something?
Yeah, that was one of Brian Flores' years where he took over the defense and came back and won. And we would have made the playoffs if we didn't lose those 7 games.
Yeah.
And even Mike McDaniel's first season was like a roller coaster ride. We went on streaks. We would win this many games, lose the same amount, then win the same amount, then lose the same amount. So no one knows. Seasons are long, even if they're short. They're long. There are plenty of more games to win, and as long as Tua and Mike McDaniel both, it's Tua comes back and plays better, and Mike McDaniel knows how to call a game, the season's not over with. And I'm not giving up, and I've never will give up.
And I mean, you're what, two games? You're like 2 games behind. There's still plenty of time to catch up. I mean, look, the Broncos were in the playoff hunt, and we were at your record last year. And then we went on a roll, and we were in the playoff hunt up until basically the last week or 2. So
we're who are the teams that? I mean, the other teams, I know, the Colts are there. You're there.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks is the Colts have the tiebreaker over you right now.
Right. Well, we still play Houston. We could maybe get the tiebreaker over them.
Yeah.
And maybe the Colts take over the division. Who knows? My prediction might actually be right. Who knows?
That could happen. But honestly, with the whole thing about Tua, like I said, I hope, I know this is where it all stemmed from. I do hope he's able to play. I don't want to see him get injured again. And I really mean when I say injured, it's I don't want to see him with oh, I'm back, and then boom, something happens to him. Not a concussion.
I know, right? Anything, I'm not even saying anything. I'm just not even going to put it out there. The only thing I'm putting out there is Tua's not getting another injury this season, and the team will stay as healthy as it can and get us to the playoffs.
Right? I just think Mike McDaniel needs to either maybe he gives up the play calling at some point. That I could see happening.
Yeah. I think he needs to give up the play calling.
Let's see how he does with Tua against the Cardinals these next couple of weeks. It might happen after Buffalo. I could. I don't go back,
Yeah, I don't see. This is the weird thing about Mike McDaniel is that he doesn't know how to adapt in the middle of the game, but he knows how to adapt. after, like, from game to game. So, and like they thought, like I listened to him, he said they thought they did stuff in practice to get rid of some of the penalties to try to lower it. They were wrong. It didn't work. So hopefully that this week they will do better and it will work. And maybe if you don't play Julian Hill, maybe those penalties won't happen. I mean, it's
Is he even a pass catching one, or is he just like there for extra blocking?
He's a little bit of both. Oh. But he's after Durham. He's after Jonnu Smith and Durham Smythe. Like, and Durham Smythe hasn't been having the greatest season this year either. So, but the Dolphins just need to just be better and maybe sign Ryan Tannehill just to have a stronger backup quarterback or some better backup quarterback option. I don't know if anything happened to Tua again. If I want to go back to Tyler Huntley, I know Huntley got hurt. I think Tim Boyle's our only healthy backup right now because I think Skyler's still dealing with rib injury or something. So it's like we were just unprepared at the backup quarterback situation, really.
Right? That happens. Maybe sometimes people in practice look better, and Tim Boyle may not, he looked like he played the best even if he didn't have as many snaps, He
had the same amount of attempts as Tyler Huntley. Granted, his only problem was he didn't. I guess he didn't realize it was fourth down at the very end there. Like if he would have realized that and actually had to make the play, like I think we would have had a better shot. If we just had just prepared better at the end for the fourth half, the final few minutes. I think if we just had a few better plays. But if the fumble didn't happen, that they scored on, the fumble didn't happen, that we were like close to the red zone, But those two guys were captains and like two of our, and I think like Pro Bowl worthy players. So I don't know what you do when two of your best players, your most respected players fumble. I mean, granted, yes, they were punched. I think one was punched out. So
yeah.
Just like a deflected interception should be an interception. A punched out fumble should have a special, like a punched out fumble feel is like that is a defensive one. That's right. Not on the offensive player. There's nothing you can do if the defense does their job and punches it out.
I know they blamed Audric Estime for the fumble in the Broncos game, but I'm just like, you got that ball punched out of him on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's just like how Javon Holland did it to ETN. When they punch it out, that's not on you can't hold on to something that's being punched out. That has a lot of force to it. It's an impossibility unless you have glue on your hands. That's not on the offense. That is not on any of the running backs or anything that get a ball punched out, or any player. If you get punched out, that is a smart play.
Yeah.
That is what Charles Peanut Tillman
used to do
all the time. And it's like it is peanut punch.
It is a peanut punch. All right. So since we're kind of on the topic, I was gonna say, we had some questions here. Like, I had a way of, thoughts about like McDaniels and Tua, or McDaniels and the offense, and I just wondered if, I don't know. We can get back to this one later because I had this whole thing about Purdy and Shanahan, and we can kind of come back to it because we can. I think we're a good spot to move on, right?
Yes.
Let's just give a couple updates. Like the Bills won 34-10 against the Titans. Jaguars look good, 32 against to the Patriots 16.
I don't know if that'll be. Well, that might actually be beneficial for them if they end up with like the second pick instead of the number one pick. They might end up getting like a better player.
Right? I mean, Tank Bigsby looked good. Trevor Lawrence was like 15 for 20. Drake May didn't look bad either. So it's like,
I'm riding Drake May in fantasy. So woo.
Right. But I guess, and I'll come back to that. The Seahawks, I don't know. The Seahawks are like hot and cold sometimes. Like they won 34 14 against the Falcons.
I think they got it sounded like from others that they got players back from injury, and I guess that really mattered. I don't know who came back, but
right.
They said they had it. I saw something that said they had a healthy D line, and when they have a healthy D line, that's what it looked like. Well,
right. So
it's a good week. I'm glad they have a healthy D line coming this week.
Right. Why? Who did they play?
The Bills.
Oh, that should be a good game.
They can stop Josh Allen. That would be great.
So let's move to the NFC North, because that was one of my questions I had for us. Well, the Lions won 31-29, and the game went back and forth a little bit there. I mean, the Vikings were definitely had a lead. Then the Lions came back, came roaring back. And then the turnover, the touchdown. It was a good game. It was honestly really enjoyable. Jared Goff's on the I forget what his quarterback QBR was.
I'll have it for you in a second.
But I know it was really high. Like, this is like the best 3-game streak, not just his career, but almost I think ever, honestly.
Yeah,
I think it was in the 150s,
140 this
140s. Okay. He missed what? What was his?
He only missed 3 passes.
3 passes. Wow. And then he
Jared Goff,
where he didn't miss any. So
Jared Goff MVP.
Right now it's between him and Lamar, and we'll talk more about that later.
I still think Josh Allen's still in it, but yeah those 3 are killing it.
Yeah. Well, the biggest my thought was just first, Lions. I'll just say that I hope they trade for somebody to replace Hutch, because they needed somebody for.
Yeah, they definitely felt like they were missing some pass rush.
Yeah.
I would definitely try to get anyone from Cleveland or Las Vegas. I was literally going to say Oakland. We live in Las Vegas. I still don't recognize the Raiders as a team here.
Right. There's nothing. It's not like the Aces who changed their name, or having the Golden Knights be an expansion team that boom, we got a team. They're our team,
right? We haven't accepted the Raiders, and we probably won't accept the Raiders.
Have to win a Super Bowl, I think, to really be accepted. And even then,
well, I mean, for us in general, just because A, you're a Broncos fan, and B, well, the Raiders have knocked the Dolphins out of the playoffs before. I remember that stuff. So, I kind of hate the Raiders for that. But, I mean, I like Christian Wilkins, but I know he got hurt on that.
Right. I mean, it's a team thing. It's sports,
Yeah, it's a sports thing. I mean, I genuinely like the team. I like players on the current team. I thought they'd be doing better, but.
Right. So that being said, I think we got an idea of who they should trade for. Hopefully it happens before the trade deadline.
Yeah, we got derailed by
yes. You derailed me again. So who do you think is the best team in the NFC North? And how deep will this run? Will all the teams make it? Is there going to be a team that falls off? All that stuff.
So the real questions I have are, how well can the Lions do without Aiden Hutchinson? Because it was close.
It was kind of close. It was a defensive touchdown at the end there. So
all right.
Don't answer all my questions with questions of yours.
Well, the Lions will go as far as I think the Lions are one of the best teams offensively, and defensively they're still pretty strong. They're just lacking the force that Aiden Hutchinson brings. It depends on what the Bears actually are, with Caleb Williams actually playing, how well they can play against teams in their division, rather than just beating the teams they have, though some of the easier teams they have beat.
Right.
The Packers feel like they're better on defense and they get a lot of turnovers. The question is Jordan Love? The question is about the turnovers that they're getting on that they're losing the ball on offense. Like Jordan Love is throwing interceptions.
Well, for me, I think
and the Vikings and the Vikings I think are pretty solid. I think they just got outmatched here.
Well, for me, well, I mean, outmatch means that the Lions are the better team. So
well, that's why I still think the Lions are the better team.
Well, for me, I think I gotta see the Bears play a little bit more, like some better teams, and then I can see them all going, especially after what happened with Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, because when you're down, we'll get into that later. But with that being said, I'm at least gonna give 3 teams. I'm not quite sold on the Bears yet. I want to see them against better teams. Jordan Love and the Packers, I think they're just going to continue to get better. And Jordan Love, second half of last season, kind of quit turning over the ball. Like those stopped. He had I think he was 15 touchdowns for 1 interception in the second half of last season. So even if he just cuts down to 1 interception or even no interceptions in a game, I think we'll see a lot, when the Packers and the Lions play in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited for that game, and I think they're going to be. It will not surprise me if we see the NFC North versus one another, any of these teams in the NFC Championship game. The Vikings, they look solid. They just I think that they just got a little. They weren't quite ready for Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is better than what people expected, and he's just shown so much promise. There's a lot to him. He's more of a pocket passer, but there's a lot. He's got a lot of talent. Everybody, I just feel like everybody's just like the Packers. I think everybody's boosting themselves together.
Right. Well, Brian Flores' defense is really good, but it's just sometimes there's openings in it to be exploited.
Well, but that's any defense.
Yes. But I think they'll get better when TJ Hawkinson comes back. I think his window was opened, so should be this week or next week unless Hawkinson's I don't think going to be back if he doesn't come back soon. But that'll give them another weapon.
Yeah.
The real I know some of their schedules are it's really when the divisional matchups come up are going to be real tests for the NFC North. And if an NFC North, if one of the NFC North teams is not in the NFC Championship, then I don't know.
Well, I mean, the fact that if 4 of them could possibly make it, I mean, you're gonna have a little above half or a little under half. I'd be shocked because I mean, I think the Eagles, and the Commanders are the only other teams that there's only going to be one out of the West. I can't imagine there being more than one. And then with the injuries to Tampa Bay and Atlanta being a coin flip sometimes, there's only going to be one out of the South too.
Right? Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a bit decimated, not as decimated as the Saints. So that prediction was bold but dumb. Yeah, no, I can even unless they battle each other out, hurt, unless any of the North teams get decimated a little more. It's really only going to be injuries that are going to take out the North.
Yeah, well, that's to be expected. So for me, my ranking puts them, just to throw it out there, for the Bears. Honestly, even though they've been undefeated and they got a great defense and stuff,
the Vikings
at 3. Right now, I think the Packers could make it to 1, but Jared Goff is really just playing great, so I got the Packers at 2, even though I love all of the talent and the defense on the Packers. And then I got, and I know that the Vikings beat the Packers, but that wasn't that game in Minnesota, or was it in, I don't know if that game. Jordan Love just came off the injury. I think he played way better in that second half, and the defense played way better in the second half. So give them a rematch when Jordan Love's healthier. I think we'll see a different story. So that's why I got the Packers at 2 and the Lions at 1. What about you?
Yeah, I was going to say basically the same thing. No, they lost to. They played Minnesota in Green Bay.
Oh, okay. Well, still, that was it was still like a tale of two halves with Jordan Love.
All right, they're gonna get. I mean, they're gonna play the Lions pretty soon, but they have the Jaguars, so.
Right. So that's another game that they should be able to just take advantage of and play good.
Well, I mean, the North ended up like with the NFC West kind of not being a whole, with the NFC West being a whole mess this season, and that they got the AFC South. The North got an easy schedule this year.
Yeah, but they still have to play each other, and they still got to play who doesn't
exactly.
matter. I know we were talking about. I also want to say, since we're talking about the North and stuff, Packers 24 against the Texans that only scored 22. Like, it was a close game. That Packers defense held CJ Stroud to 85 yards passing.
Yeah, something right. It was like 5 fantasy points or something for CJ Stroud.
Right. Well, I mean, fantasy points, 86 yards, 10 for 21. I mean, Joe Mixon is making a lot of that offense, and same thing. Diggs 5 receptions for 23 yards. Tank Dell nothing. So it's like Joe Mixon. I feel like Joe Mixon and Nico Collins make that offense go run through. So we'll see how they do. But
I feel like Nico Collins they're severely missing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Packers they had 2 turnovers, but they got a kicker. They got the ball out, and Josh Jacobs got his first receiving touchdown after 200 plus receptions. Like I said, I know, Jordan Love, meanwhile, 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 24 for 33. No 100-yard receiver, but everybody's just catching the ball and doing what they have to do. So happy with that as far as, enjoying the Packers. I forget, and I know we were going over some of the scores, but did we talk about the Bills and the Titans?
I think we went over them. I think it was very quickly just because of how the Bills did.
There wasn't really a lot to this game other than Josh Allen throwing for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 21 for 33 was, completions to attempts. But the biggest thing for me was just the fact that he got the ball to Amari Cooper, and I thought that was I know a lot of I'm sure a lot of sports shows were saying Devontae Adams and stuff. We were saying the Amari Cooper trade was the bigger of the trades.
It was. Just look at how much better Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir did because of Amari Cooper.
Right, 125 yards from Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir. Now it's like having that number 1 guy opens up those other targets, and even Dalton Kincaid got open more. So it's if you can just do that, let the offense flow how it is, and it will be better for the team overall. And I know some people are counting them out. I'm not counting them out. I still think they're a good team, even if they don't have the best, even if they didn't rush a whole lot. But I think that they're one of those teams that they look good. They don't look great, but if they keep playing how they're playing, can you imagine how much better they could be later instead of being great now like they used to? There were times where Bills looked so great and then petered out. I could see it being the opposite this time. So
as long as right, as long as they can keep this consistent, because it was the opposite last season.
Oh yeah,
because they were bad at the beginning, and then they were bad at the beginning, and then crap, and then got better. And let's just hope the opposite doesn't happen.
They were 5-5. I think 6-5, even 6-6 at some point. They were middling it now. But that being said, we'll go on with some scores. Bengals beat the Browns. Won't really get into it too much. Good job special teams for the Bengals. It's really what helped them win in the end. Offense couldn't get going. Defense did. The Browns will if you're a Browns fan, the injuries happen, and maybe you'll be excited for your quarterback. That's all I'll just say now, because you got a new starter. Jameis Winston.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, because both of the quarterbacks got injured.
Yeah,
I didn't realize DTR got hurt too.
Yeah, I didn't know how bad his was. But...
it was on his thumb or something. So it's not like it was it was just one of the major spots for a quarterback.
Right.
But I think I think they will be a better team with Jameis Winston.
All right, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Browns do in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not holding my breath for them. I mean, I think that they're still, but I think that there is I think their quarterback, their new quarterback provides a better chance for them.
They can score 20 points this season. They might have something
right
this year.
Yeah.
I know how I shared that meme that showed, have you scored 20 points this year? And it showed like all these college football teams, USFL teams, NFL teams, and 3 baseball teams that have scored 20 points, and the Browns have not.
Yeah, UFL.
Oh yeah, I said USFL. Yeah, UFL. I'm still getting used to it.
Right, they kept the U, just not the S.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, that's exactly right. Even 20 home runs or 20 runs batted in between home runs and all that. Anyways, a couple other quick easy games. Eagles, Saquon Barkley returned to the Meadowlands and got 176 rushing yards and a touchdown. I was wondering why he wasn't getting the touchdowns and they were going for the tush push. I think he didn't want to be that mean-spirited to his old team. I think he respected them, and I don't think he wanted all the glory either. Like, he didn't want it to be a big, like he said his piece. I don't think there's he did his thing. That's all. He didn't want to be. He didn't need the 3 touchdowns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a good running back. I think the Giants made a mistake getting rid of him. I don't know. It's like there are very rare. There are like super good, like great running backs, and if you have one of the great running backs, you really should keep them. Like if you wanted to be like competitive. And yeah, I understand like getting rid of Derrick Henry, like letting Derrick Henry go, but like for the Titans, but like the Giants really.
Yeah, I mean, they picked Daniel Jones, but I also don't think that I think that they should have just let him walk, and it's a whole long mess. We don't have to really get into it.
The better Bo Nix does, the more mistakes might have been made that other teams didn't take him earlier.
Yeah. The Rams beat the Raiders 20-15. The Commanders beat the Panthers 40-7. And
poor Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels got hurt. He'll be back later this season. He's week to week He's considered week to week right now with a rib injury. So unfortunately, it means that we won't see him versus Caleb Williams.
Why? Why do they take it from us?
I know. Now we'll get into it. Has yes, some of my questions came from this next game, or the rest of the games really. The Chiefs won 28-18. I'm trying to think of where to start. Like, okay, so Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, ran one in. It was an important one. I think after this last run on the sideline, people are just going to like accept the penalty and just like push Patrick Mahomes out of bounds. Like, they need to start doing that. I mean, I'm not here for injuries, but at the point where it's like, if you're going to look the fool, you might as well just get the penalty and be foolish that way.
Right, just push him out. Don't worry. Don't try to tackle him out of bounds. Just try to push. Push him with one hand.
Push him with both hands. He's still in bounds.
Yeah.
If he flies or gets stumbles out of bounds, that's his problem, because he's done enough to warrant this. I mean, I'm not saying to hurt him, but when you look like you're stepping out of bounds and you can take a penalty for hitting a player, especially a quarterback, out of bounds, and we saw how that affected the Cincinnati playoff against the Bengals a couple of years ago. And when you're gonna fake out with, and I don't understand why these people go for the fake outs when they're beyond the line of scrimmage, because here's the thing, I don't know if they would be allowed to call roughing the passer if the passer is beyond the line of scrimmage. That is a penalty to throw beyond the line of scrimmage. So let him. Just maybe one time they'll screw up, just like throw it. So they're not going to throw it. So just tackle.
Right, like after a while, like the quarterback gives up being a passer and becomes a runner, so you're allowed to tackle him.
Yeah. That being said, I know some people want to say like, oh, this is like Mahomes deserves so much credit, and don't get me wrong, Mahomes is great. He's just not great this season. He's mid. His stats are middling unless you're a QB wins guy. And I've questioned if I've been if I'm a QB wins guy, because there are times where I'm just like, well, the stats matter, and I love the stats, but if you get the win, it's good. And I mean, Mahomes and the Chiefs are getting the win, but to 100% honesty, that Chiefs defense is great. I honestly think when the Chiefs and the Broncos play, it's going to be a great defensive battle, because it could be really low scoring. Like, I would not be surprised 10-17, 13-16, something like that.
Right. The question is it's like quarterback wins. Like, sometimes it's really just about the team. Sometimes the quarterback brings like a magical spark. Like
Yes.
when these quarterbacks win, when they don't like the long time ago when Tim Tebow only completed 2 passes and beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, some players are not. So I'm not saying that Mahomes is Tim Tebow, but Tim Tebow had some magic to him.
Yeah.
Mahomes is great. Actually, I'd say there are times where, like right now, I just feel like he's good. You can say he's great. I don't know if he's the greatest, but he's one of the best in the league right now, and that's because he wins.
Mm-hmm.
But this last season, and even more this season, just it's not even looking that great. But is he good with magic? He's good, and he has the magic with him.
He basically, Mahomes is good. Mahomes' escapability is what's making him great. That's something like you can't quantify on a stat sheet right now.
Yeah.
Or I guess maybe you can, but it's not on any normal stat sheet. But
right.
Still, like, his ability to escape being sacked is what helps.
Well,
but his stats aren't that great.
Well, and that's one thing. What I'm loving about Bo Nix is if Bo Nix can just have that escapability, like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, like you're seeing them, what's something, some of that stuff that they can do. So
Lamar Jackson's escapability, I don't know. He trained that this year. Like, he's next level. Like he was 1 year too early getting that other MVP.
We'll get into Lamar a little later, but I just wanted to say, let's just leave it to these two teams. So, like, the Chiefs defense, I got to give like all of the credit, because I right now I'd say the 3 best defenses in the NFL, like right now, are Kansas City, Minnesota, Denver. Unless I'm forgetting
Green Bay has like the most amount of takeaways. That's just that is just
Green Bay. I can give I can say is up there like 4, and Chicago's probably up there too. So
right.
So it's like those are some of the best defenses. But like right now, like I said, at least in my opinion, I think the 3 best: Kansas City, Minnesota, Denver. And if the Chiefs win another championship, it's really going to be from this defense.
All right. I like we mentioned before. Like I know like Patrick Mahomes is good, but I still think even if anything happened to Patrick Mahomes, there won't be any drop off.
Not too much. Not where. If Carson Wentz could just do some of the
Yeah, the team is built too good. Like what Juju's hurt now. Like.
Yeah, now there were 2 top receivers who are like what? Worthy and Hardman?
Yeah, who's like they like I wouldn't even be afraid like I'd still be afraid if they were no, I wouldn't be afraid if their wide receivers were Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, but
Kadarius Toney's not even on the team anymore.
I know, right? I don't even know who he's on. But like I would say those are about the only 2 people that could probably stop the Chiefs.
Right.
But no, right now, like Worthy and Hardman are like fine, and like they're just coached. They just have like one of the top 3 coaching staffs in the NFL. So with one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So it's kind of like a video game. If you're already a great player and you pick a top tier character, then you have like an unfair advantage.
Yeah, like it just
Yeah, it's that
character's great. Your skill's great. It's gonna equal great.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, my question was, can the Chiefs keep winning with Mahomes' middling play?
when they beat match. We'll see if they can see when they get to you.
Yeah, I do. Like right now, we'll see how they play. Like this, like how we play, and especially after coming off Baltimore, we're going to play Baltimore first. I think that's going to be a great lesson to be ready for the Chiefs. And for me, the Chiefs game is more important. But with our defenses and stuff, I think it's going to be a very defensive matchup, and we'll see. We'll see if they can handle it. I mean, he can get better in 3 weeks before that game.
So they have the next 4 games are going to be like the question. Granted, so they have the Raiders who always play them tough, and it's at the Raiders.
It's always divisional game. It's always going to be tough. There are you can say that the division hasn't been good in years, but I think except for the Raiders, I think everybody's gotten better, and I think even the Raiders will play them tough. So it's not a cakewalk.
Right. They play Tampa Bay, who might not. Tampa Bay might be the easiest one because of how their defense gives up stuff, unless like Todd Bowles figures it out between now and then. But after that, they have the tough two of Denver and Denver's defense, and then they play the Bills after you at Buffalo.
If they go 4-0, I don't know what to think. I'll be honest with you. If they win the next 4 all in a row, there probably is no stopping them.
Well, it's definitely not going to be the team after the Bills that's not going to stop them.
Is that the Panthers?
That is the Panthers.
Like we play the whole NFC South, so I know the Panthers are on that.
Unless it's that random any given Sunday type deal, and the Chiefs tend to lose randomly to some weak ass team.
Okay, but if they lose that game, then that almost guarantees that they're going to win the championship. In the oddest of ways.
They're going to lose. They lose the Panthers. 3-peat is confirmed.
You're laughing, but that would be how it is.
I know. I hope not.
Anyways, on the other side of the ball, there were 5 interceptions total on this game. Purdy threw 3 of them. He threw. I think he ran for 1 touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran for 2 touchdowns. Nobody threw a touchdown in this game. Purdy just ran in for 2. So the offense, I mean, Kittle's still around, but Ayuk is out for the season. Debo is in the hospital right now with pneumonia. So he was on, he had fluid in his lungs.
Joanne Jennings had a hip injury that he was dealing with, so he didn't play.
Yeah. So I mean, I know some people did Purdy make some bad mistakes. Yeah. I think most quarterbacks need help. I will say that my conversation here is I thought a little bit differently last year on a couple quarterbacks. I'll just say it. It's Lamar and Purdy, and I think I've come to flip a little bit. I've lowered Purdy and Lamar. I don't know if I had Lamar in my. If I said Lamar was in my top 5, top 10. I know I've had him in my top 10, I think. I'll be honest with you. I think CJ and Jordan Love are, and even Brock Purdy. I still like Brock Purdy. Don't get me wrong. He's still top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm just going to say, I think Jared Goff is 5. And he's up there, but if I had to, I think there's a 1 in Mahomes, and then I can say Goff is 5, even though in some, and I think it's more because Goff's having a good season. I know he's been to the Super Bowl. I know we hold Joe Burrow to the standard because he beat Mahomes to get the Super Bowl, but but Burrow still looks good. I don't know the order, but for me, it's like 2, 3, and 4 are any combination of Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. And kind of right now, I gotta kind of place Josh Allen 4th, where you could pick between Joe Burrow and Lamar, because
I don't quite know. So granted, Patrick Mahomes is only I would only say Patrick Mahomes is only so high based on his history. If you counted this year in a vacuum, no way in hell.
Oh, if we're just gonna talk like a season, just as the season is, Lamar is number 1, Goff is number 2, Baker's number 3. I think Josh Allen is number 4, and Jordan Love is number 5.
Yeah,
this season, right
something
now.
like that. Something like that in a vacuum. Like he's not. Patrick Mahomes is not top 5.
The only stat he's top 5 in is, if you count it as a stat, is QB wins. But
And interceptions.
Oh yeah, well, but Jordan Love actually ties with him.
He ties with Jordan Love with interceptions, but it's still a stat that he's. I mean, quarterback wins is not a stat, because I swear they'd be 6-0 with Carson Wentz. But
I think that there's team wins, and that's what a win is. So it's like the Chiefs as a whole are 6-0. Patrick Mahomes is 6-0, but it's a team thing. So
the team is making up for the flaws. The defense makes up for the flaws of the offense.
Right now, before I get too much into Lamar, let's finish up with the 49ers.
Yeah, I think they can't do much without weapons.
Right, but here's a big question. I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on Purdy or, if you want to do both of them combined, and Kyle Shanahan?
I know I mentioned this off mic, but I was like, did Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel party in the off season and not feel quite right as coaches together? because man, I feel like they both should be better, but I feel that we're both just, the 49ers and Dolphins are both just injured, and I don't think it's on Kyle Shanahan, and I don't think it's on Brock Purdy. I think you need quality weapons to win, and even the Chiefs have quality or still, even their backups they have good, solid backups.
Noah Gray is, in my opinion, the number 1 tight end right now for that team, because he's been developing. He showed a lot last season. Mm-hmm. Even the season before, he's a good tight end, and he's filling the role, I think, that Kelsey has been doing. And Kelsey's still out there because you just don't, he made a name for himself. But I think Noah Gray is going to gonna play that role too, because
Noah Gray was the leader in yards for them. They got Kareem Hunt back, and he knows how to they know how to get the most out of him. They know how to get the most out of the players they have, right? And they know how to use Mecole Hardman as a runner as well,
right? But that's what I was saying. Noah Brown is just
Noah Gray.
Noah Gray. Yeah. Noah Gray is a physical, big tight end. Maybe not as big as Kelsey, but he can do the same thing. Every time I see Kelsey, every time I saw Gray get the ball, I was wondering if it was Kelsey, because there are times where they look like he's big and he's imposing and he can move. So that being said,
Kelsey only made 17 yards and 4 receptions. He really feels
this might be his last season. I don't know how much more he's got left in him. We'll see. I think he wants to complete the 3P. If they make it, I think he's done. If they doesn't make it, I think he's done. It's probably
I think he's done. I think he's done either way.
Maybe if they don't make it, he's probably done. If they do make it and they want to try for a 4th, maybe he'll come back. We'll see.
Right. I feel like right now he's just there to bring Taylor Swift.
I don't think it's as big of a, it's not as big, being mentioned. I think it's just.
Yeah, no, I don't think they mention it as much either, but I try not, but I'm just saying he's bringing, I'm just saying he's bringing in probably more views than he is bringing in receptions.
Yeah, but honestly, this is pointless, in my opinion. Anything conversation wise about Taylor Swift, and Travis Kelce's performance on the field, that it's meaningless to combine them. But for me,
the stat they don't have, a stat that's not on here is blocking for tight end. So I don't know he's probably still doing good on that.
Yeah.
So that they give him credit there, but that they don't have that. They don't have some stats they probably should have. But what stat? What would you put that as? This play helped succeeded because
blocking.
Blah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's just context you're not going to get from reading a box score.
Sometimes there's blocking involved on stats and stuff, but I think that's more of a
that's more of an
line stat, but it should still count. Anyways, my point being, we were on Purdy and Shanahan. Shanahan can't beat Andy Reid.
Right.
I'm not gonna say like Kyle Shanahan. I do think Kyle Shanahan looks a little lower as far as like, is he one of the top coaches? Sure. I just don't know if I'd put him in the same air as Sean McVay. You know, he won a Super Bowl. I mean, Kyle's lost 3 Super Bowls. I mean, at least Sean's gone to 2 and won at least 1. Mike Tomlin, even though his Super Bowl's been a while past, you know, the way that he just keeps his team together and fighting for wins, and you know, like seeing how that, you know, the non-losing seasons, like it feels like it means a little bit more right now with how the Steelers are doing. You know, I don't know if I want to, like, there's something about Sean Payton, you know, getting the team together and, you know, like really cleaning up the Broncos. But with Kyle Shanahan, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh no, he's not. You could probably put him at 5, like in the top 5. I'm not putting him in a top 3, because he just hasn't gotten over the hump.
The problem is like his injury. It's always been injury for the 49ers.
Well, and you know what? I don't know, and that's the thing. I don't know if that goes on him or John Lynch.
I mean, the Super Bowl the Eagles went to because the quarterback got injured.
Yeah,
the 49ers could have maybe won that one.
Yeah, maybe. But I only bring this. I bring up the coach talk about for one reason, because like Sean Payton, you know, Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher, you know, Jimmy Johnson. There are some coaches who did win on their first team as a head coach, but you know what? Some of the greatest head coaches: Don Shula, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, all won their Super Bowl on their second team.
Technically, Belichick's was on his third.
Okay, second or after.
If we count the one day.
Yeah, the one day is I don't know how many people truly count that, but
I know, right?
Right, but
that's why I said technically.
Technically. But it was at least another team than the one that they were like a head coach that they really coached on. And, you know, so am I going to be surprised if Kyle doesn't make it back as the head coach of the 49ers? And at some point, maybe he gets fired and goes to another team and that team succeeds? I can absolutely see that, because I forgot. It's like, because, well, it's in his name. Mm-hmm. His dad did the same thing. He was, you know, head coach with the Raiders and then won it as the Broncos head coach.
Right. I don't know if this is like, is it on Purdy, like Mike Shanahan? Like, you know, I think just Kyle Shanahan just needs to get the right players and find like the right magical thing like his father did, like Terrell Davis, and get the right combination of pieces, and he'll be able to win. I don't know if that will be with the 49ers, but...
So what I'm hearing is if he were to be fired and Nick Sirianni, he could go to the Eagles or some like, you know, rival like team, because that would be some, because like let's be honest, the outside of the wide receivers who got injured for like and weren't injured like the whole season, like you don't hear the Eagles getting too often injured,
right? I don't know what it is with the Shanahan coaches and injury.
I mean, injuries happen with everybody at some point. So
I mean, to be fair, like how many? I mean, like wide receivers are dropping like flies right now. So
yeah, it's injuries. We can't make just the assumption that it's just one coaching line. But
I wasn't saying it was a coach.
Well, you said the Shanahan.
Yeah, I was just basically, I was really just referring to Kyle and Mike, but I guess like a bit with Sean McVay, a little bit with the wide receiver injuries there, but
and well, I mean, and JJ McCarthy got hurt too, so it was just like,
you know how many people are part of this coaching tree that that I don't think about.
Well, that's why you can't make a gross generalization. Okay, so
yes, I can. I can. I thought that's what sports talk's all about.
Doesn't mean it's good sports talk. I mean, it might be good sports talk. It doesn't mean that it's right. All right. Let me see. Few more topics. Which we don't have to get into a whole lot of detail. Honestly, I think I'd rather save maybe that one for last. We'll go with the Sunday night game. More quarterback stuff. I mean, I guess it's well, easy question, because I think this is just a yes, because it's a yes for me. Is Russell Wilson better than Aaron Rodgers?
I don't want to take much. I mean, yes.
Yes. I mean, even in the last season, if you compare even if you compared Russell's last season in Denver to Aaron's last season in Green Bay, I think that they were maybe kind of equal, but still, like, I think Russ still has just a little left in him that I didn't think he did.
I think he's just getting the right stuff brought out of him in the Steelers, but I think he needed to be humbled in Denver to be better.
Well, but here's the big thing with Russ. I think that humbleness did help, because I don't know. I know everybody thinks about the whole sideline incident with Sean and Russ, but if you just look, Russ, when Sean came in and said, like, nope, you don't get an office anymore. There's none of this, none of that. You're coming in like a regular player. Russ listened. Russ was that. Russ followed coaching. That's not what Aaron Rodgers does, because he wants to be and thinks he is the head coach.
Right,
it's his way or the highway.
That Nathaniel Hackett was not like a good head coach in a sense of. I think he's a nice guy. I just don't think he's a good coach, Nathaniel Hackett, and I think he just let Russ do, like, Russ's ego take charge, like with that office and stuff, and the Jets are letting Aaron's ego run everything, and Russ being a team player now, Russ not being as full of himself is going to make him a better player here. Aaron is going to not be in this league, is either going to have full control of the Jets and drive them and crash and burn, or not going to be in the league soon.
I was going to say, if you meant driving them to mediocrity, and mediocrity was last season with Zach Wilson and was better than this.
Yeah, as we mentioned before, how the Dolphins are still somehow magically in second place in the division, and we're trash. So if you're worse than trash, I don't know.
Well, because you had a bye week. So, anyways, I guess my question is, my next one is on this topic, because I don't really think the game was close, and then it was just the Steelers just played great and ran away with it after a while. I mean,
Russ got past his rust, and like everyone in the beginning, we all thought Russ was the same old Russ that we didn't believe in, and
I know a lot of people at halftime were like, okay, so Justin Fields got to go in.
Yeah, exactly. Then Russ came out and showed what he's good with, and I think going forward, I think Russ, as long as Russ can do that, I think the Steelers are going to be fine and going to be a tough team.
Right. So that answers my question. Can the Steelers keep winning? I think so. If it's Russ, Justin, both of them, I honestly see a playoff spot for them. Unless something goes catastrophic and the defense gets injured, I see a
really like they lost last. Like, I feel like they might have been able to win a playoff game if TJ Watt didn't get hurt last season.
Yeah.
So if they lose any key pieces, that's about any team. If you lose any key piece, you're going to be. It's hard to fight back.
Yeah, especially TJ Watt. Like, I mean, when like we were talking about Hutch and stuff, he is the defense. He's like a big part of that team. Like, he's like, Hutch is a big part of the defense, but not necessarily the whole team.
Yeah, that's why, like, they can still keep winning, but it showed the Lions are missing something on defense.
Well, say I did enjoy the Steelers' special teams on some of those field goals and stuff. So I don't think there was leverage on that one penalty one. I could have seen the second one having a little leverage, but I think that was just some great special team performances. Shout out to their special team coordinator. I'm blanking on his name, but he was getting excited on the field, and I love to see that.
Wish we had a good special teams coordinator. Anyways,
now that brings me on to the flip side. How many games can the Jets win? I'll be honest, I don't even know if they can win the Patriots this coming weekend because Drake May looks better. I think that they can win 4 more games, 5 at most, I think.
I know we have a pretty the AFC East has a pretty easy schedule. Yeah, I don't know who they can. I don't know. Even some of these teams that aren't the greatest, I don't know who they can beat.
Yeah.
Going forward, like the Patriots are coming up. Like, are they going to really be able to match the Patriots? Or are they going to get crushed by the Texans?
I think so.
Cardinals don't look bad either. So like,
if they just play some decent defense and let Kyler,
if Justin Herbert can score a touchdown against the Cardinals, what are the Jets going to do?
I don't know. So like any number on that, like I said, I think 4, maybe 5 more at max. And that
I'm not sure about the team. So they have a possibility against the Patriots.
I mean, anybody can win any week.
Well, yeah, I would say I'm giving them more of a favorable matchup against the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Rams, and if the Dolphins don't figure it out between now and then. So I think they have 4 to 5 more wins. That they have a 4 to 5 more favorable matchups. So
they still have to play the Bills one more time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they also have like the Seahawks and the Colts, and I'm not sure what those two like. What?
Yeah, I don't know about Anthony Richardson. We'll see, but we'll see. It's like I agree with the 4 or 5 more games.
If they're like that might be their like that might be their floor. I don't know if they'll get it together.
Right. And I mean, and we're talking about it. Like Steelers won 37-15. I like to give the score. Anything else on the Jets or the Steelers?
Yeah, they want to. Robert Saleh went to let them score 37 on them.
Absolutely. If you look at the last 2 weeks since they haven't had Robert Saleh, they've let 30-point games happen, or at least somewhere like average 30. Because I forget what did they have last week? It was like 23. Then they had 37 this week. So yeah, that's an average of 30 points.
So keep running Drake May as my fantasy quarterback this week. I don't know why I think I might do that. Anyways.
Because you don't have anybody else?
No, I have CJ Stroud. I just think Drake May is the better option.
It's matchup based. So.
Yeah.
Cardinals won 17-15.
As I meant,
Chargers could only kick 5 field goals. I mean, they had the lead, I think, for a little bit because I think the Cardinals won on a game-ending field goal.
Yeah.
So they definitely hit the ball out. Great recovery by the Cardinals because that definitely stopped the touchdown. Mm-hmm. Wild fumbles or interception by Kyler Murray got intercepted. Defense ran the ball. Ball popped out. Cardinals got it back. So, stuff like that isn't helping.
What was it? There was a great run by James Conner at the end that set them up for the game-winning
nice. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the Chargers are this season. I know everybody's like, oh, Jim Harbaugh, like he got him off the championship. But you know what? It took many years for Jim Harbaugh to A, win that championship. B, the Chargers were like they weren't great last season. I said about just like the Broncos need to get rid of the stink. They need to get rid of that Brandon Staley stink, and they don't have pieces to throw. They don't have as many pieces to throw to.
You got rid of their wide receivers, and even Quentin Johnston was injured this game. So like you had
McConkey too.
You had Ladd McConkey and Will Dissly, I think, as the tight end.
And was Dobbins in?
Yeah, Dobbins ran for 40 yards. So, but like it was Dobbins and their rookie Vidal, and they ran for like 50 yards together, the two of them.
So yeah.
Oh, they still had Josh. Yeah, it was like Dissly, Joshua Palmer, and McConkey. That's he threw for 349 yards, Justin Herbert. But if you didn't score a touchdown, what's 349 yards?
Just yards. So, if nothing else to talk about with the Cardinals and the Chargers, let's move to the Ravens, who won 41-31 against the Buccaneers. And then the Bucs, I thought were going to have it. Like, they jumped out to a quick 7-0 lead. Mm-hmm. I thought they were going to go up 14. It ended up 10, and then boom, they had the ball back. I thought they were going to go up 7. Nope, intercepted, changed the whole momentum of the game. As soon as that happened, it was like, I think it was like, it was 17-10 at half, I think. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then it was just another 17 points from, 17 unanswered. And it was like, so they were up 34-10. And I was just like, it's over. Like, I mean, sure, Tampa Bay came back, got a onside kick. it sucks that the other besides that interception, Mike Evans going down with the hamstring injury, that hurt, and then unfortunately Chris Godwin went down towards the end. And I don't disagree that Todd Bowles played his players. I don't know why he was getting criticized or asked these questions because Baker was still in the game. I think Cade Otton was still in the game. The running backs were in the game.
They still had a shot to win the game.
Yeah, Tristan Wirfs was still in the game. So, if you're playing the rest of your offense, they're supposed to be in the game. Mike Evans would have still been in the game if he didn't go down with the hamstring injury.
You only have 48 players, 48 active players or something like that in a game. I know the rosters are 53, but you have a certain amount of inactives. So you only have 40 something players. Some players have to play, and if you're even though it the score, you can take as many onside kicks as you want. So they were plausibly still in it,
right? And yeah, they were 10 points. You can score that in a minute. We've said it before. I think it was Baltimore and Minnesota that there was one time where it's touchdown, and then special teams touchdown, and then special teams again touchdown. So it's back and forth. I don't remember 21 or points scored that quickly ever.
Right,
between two teams, but there was a lot of scoring back and forth. This was probably a decade or so ago. I forget when it was. Maybe early 2010s. I'd have to double check, but it's not important. And yeah, that's just, I criticize Todd Bowles about where the hell your defense was.
For a defensive-minded head coach not having a defense, that is a problem.
Right? I mean, no interceptions and 2 sacks. I mean, everybody gets a bunch of tackles, but, Meanwhile, and this was the big thing is, and I said it earlier before, I don't know, but are you finally believing in Lamar Jackson? Because I am.
Well, Lamar looks better this season than he looked any other season in his career. I think not getting to not winning the playoff game or whatever is supercharged him. I think losing those first 2 games even more supercharged him.
I'd actually argue I think the Raiders one pissed him off.
Right? And they started running, they figured out how to run the ball better with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, their defense is a whole nother story because that's not Baltimore defense.
Yeah, I mean, well, they still lost. I mean, losing Anthony Weaver and Mike McDonald, and I don't know if they lost any other coaching, but they at least lost 2 major pieces of their defensive coaching staff is going to have some sort of.
I thought they did lose somebody else, but Patrick Queen they also lost as far as the player goes.
Yeah, they've lost defensive pieces, but
not
they're
many,
more than
many. But it's still
I meant coaching and Patrick Queen. So, but they lost some defensive pieces, they're scoring more than enough to make up for it.
Yeah. Well, I should say, even though it's not many, it's the quality on those coaches and players.
Right. But they're getting the offense going. I mean, Rashad Bateman's actually looking like a good wide receiver after they drafted him. I know he had health concerns, but he's finally looking good.
I mean, maybe not great, but good is exactly what it is. Good. If you can have Flowers and Bateman making some catches, and then you've got Mark Andrews, you got Derrick Henry, you got Justice Hill, and Isaiah Likely every once in a while. You just spread it around.
And they're going to get Keaton Mitchell soon, I think, off Buffalo.
And Nelson Aguilar can be clutch occasionally. I don't know what the word, because clutch usually, you're always clutch. You want to be the clutch, but occasionally.
I don't know. They might want to think about trading him to Tampa Bay to get a draft pick.
We'll see what happens. But I mean, yeah, they are running. I'll just say, we were talking about yards, what was it, 300 for Justin Herbert?
Yeah,
300 something, almost 350.
4.
Huh?
Oh yeah, 346 for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, 346. So almost 350 yards. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson 281 yards. Meanwhile, I know I said Anthony Richardson was 10 for 24. So sometimes it doesn't matter how many times you throw it because he threw it 17 times. Sometimes 17 is all you need. Or he made 17 completions out of 22 passes thrown
for 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. When you get the 5 touchdowns, then that
5 touchdowns.
That's the stat that really matters. I
touchdowns are better than yards.
Yes, yards. Well, here's the thing. Yards can be an absolute padded stat. Don't get me wrong. Touchdowns can be too, but touchdowns win the game. Yards do not. So
if I had, tell me what you want. And 1,000 yards passing and 0 touchdowns, and you lose the game, or 10 yards and 10 touchdowns, and you win the game.
Yeah, 10 touchdowns. Feels more like a college stat, but it would be possible.
I know it's hyperbole, but
yeah, we'll even say if it was 100 or whatever. I mean, it's like I said, but it's like when Bo Nix the Broncos beat the Jets, 60 yards, not great, but guess what? He had the passing touchdown. That won the game because that extra point matters. So sure, the Jets scored more with field goals, but
the only stats that matter are points. that win games are points,
right? And that is why the Chiefs are 6-0, and why even if they aren't playing great, they're 6-0, and they're still, you know,
6-0 by a toe.
Yeah. So, but for me, Lamar Jackson has really turned around. I don't even want to say I turned around Lamar Jackson. Lamar come to him. You know?
Lamar Jackson looked. If Lamar Jackson looked this good a few years ago, he wouldn't be the Ravens quarterback anymore. When he was like in talks, or like that they were questioning him, or like he was asking for like other people and no one talked to him.
I don't know. I feel like that was kind of a respect to Lamar type thing. Denver could have talked to him for sure,
but if he was looking this good, other people might have not respected the Ravens. That said, no, he's too good.
They also would have probably signed him too. So.
Yeah, they would have signed. There won't have been concerns. Like, he hasn't been hurt, like with the injury concerns. He looks fantastic. Knock on wood. Don't want to hurt the Ravens in any way,
right? But like I said, Lamar, I could place him at 2 or 3 because MVP is important. But I mean,
Super Bowl MVP,
Super Bowl MVP is the greater MVP. But at the same time, and it's like, yeah, I know Jalen Hurts got the Super Bowl, but there's something about how Joe Burrow plays. Like, I just really enjoy watching him. It's not just because he made it to a Super Bowl. There's just something about Joe Burrow I like. That's why I've got like him, Lamar up there, below Mahomes and the
Swag Daddy Joe is still like has that energy to him.
Yeah, and the only reason that they don't have more wins is because the defense. They've had plenty of touchdowns,
which is why wins are not a QB. Quarterback wins is not a stat because Joe Burrow should have more of them.
That's a good example. Well, anything else we want to talk about with Lamar? If not, I
think Lamar is good, and they know how to use Derrick Henry, and they are unstoppable. They are a basically unstoppable duo.
Right. Once they get going, if they get going now, I honestly, I just wanted to say, like, this was the game I was looking forward to, like, almost all weekend. Like, the ones that I was looking forward to was Bucks, Ravens, Lions at Vikings, and Texans at Packers. Besides my Broncos and stuff, but those were the 3. And then after, I didn't care for the evening game. I didn't care for the afternoon games. So I was even more excited. And then I was like, oh, this is good. And then I'm just like, oh, this kind of became, I thought it was going to be a slobber knocker. And I mean, the points, that's what I expected the points, but just not the Bucks having to climb back into it. But it was still, it was still a fun game. It was entertaining. It sucks about the injuries, but it really, I don't know. I was enjoying Lamar. And I will say, like, I enjoyed Lamar a few other games this season. It's just like, I've really come around on him. And I don't know, I don't know if it was just this game in particular, but like, this was just like, now I'm like, I feel like I'm giving Lamar his flowers that I was blind to before. So I apologize to Lamar Jackson if you're listening to this. I appreciate you, man. And I can't wait for the rest of the season to see. I hope you or the Bills or anybody stops the 3-peat.
Right. Anyone stop the 3-peat.
Yes. All right. Anything else?
Oh, I think that's good.
All right. Well, me and BossaNova are out for today. We'll hopefully have some more episodes, talk some basketball and some other sports before we do our next NFL talk. And please like, share, subscribe, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. With that, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you here next time. Bye.